Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the retirement ceremony for Lieutenant Colonel Joshua J. Kenyon. I am Captain Zachary Weaver, the narrator for today's events. Throughout the ceremony, you'll be given various cues to stand and be seated at the appropriate times. As a reminder, for the national anthem, military members must stand in a position of attention, and our civilian guests should place their right hand over their heart. Please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the playing of the national anthem and the invocation by Chaplain Ruiz.
Shall we pray? Father, we gather today to launch one of our finest leaders and families off on a new mission. Lieutenant Colonel Josh Kenyon has become a cornerstone of the KC-10 community. He has spent countless hours in this airframe and is now a vital part of laying Big Sexy to rest as we prepare for the KC-46 smooth landing. Lieutenant Colonel Kenyon has truly been an airman that has aimed high. He has demonstrated the grit, determination, and excellence that we all are encouraged to embody. May we all learn from his example and follow in his steps. Today may seem surreal to the Kenyons, however, it is no surprise to you. Lord, you know each word before we speak it, each thought before we think it, each step before we take it. You are the marvelous author of all consciousness. You need no archaeologists or smart apologists. You are the supreme and greater than all of us. You have providentially placed the perfect people to walk this road with Josh. Father, thank you for his wife, Rebecca, who has given greatly to our Air Force family. Thank you for his children, Matthew, Liam, and Drew. They have truly been part of his journey and sacrificed for the cause of liberty. Lord, thank you for his parents, Jack and Eve, and his in-laws, Steve and Mary, who passed on the vision of service to their children. And for all the many wingmen who will rush through Josh's mind today, we praise you for the part that they have played in making this milestone moment a reality. So as Josh heads off one last time into the wild blue yonder, keep his wings level and true. As a new horizon stretches out before him, may his trust always be in you. Remind him from the farthest galaxy to the smallest molecule, you reign. And by the word of your power, the universe is maintained. And may we all with one heart say and refrain, amen and amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Ruiz. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Today, a joyous yet bittersweet occasion, a celebration of a grand accomplishment and the end of a long, faithful, and honorable career. Lieutenant Colonel Joshua Kenyon has proudly served his country in the United States Air Force for 20 years. Today, we honor him with a time-honored military tradition, the retirement ceremony. Please join me in recognizing our official party and distinguished guests in attendance. Our presiding officer, the Vice Commander, 305th Air Mobility Wing, Colonel Nicholas Leonelli. Our honoree, Chief Program Integration Office, 305th Air Mobility Wing, Lieutenant Colonel Joshua Kenyon. Lieutenant Colonel Kenyon is accompanied by his wife Rebecca, their sons William and Andrew, and his parents Eve and Jack. We are also honored to have family members joining us virtually. His son Matthew Strang and his father-in-law, Master Chief Petty Officer Retired Steve Daler, and his wife Mary Daler. It is now my pleasure to welcome the presiding officer of today's ceremony, Colonel Nicholas Leonelli.
What a day. It's pretty amazing. As always, thanks Chaplain Ruiz for the invocation, and thanks to the captains, Zachary and Samantha Weaver, for putting this all together. A lot of work to do. I know it's no less work doing it virtually than it is to do it in person, to choreograph all the parts, so thank you for doing this. And to Master Sergeant Chad Vickers for being the official photo and videographer for Josh's retirement ceremony, as well as for the Can-Do Wing. Special welcome to the Thorough 5th Air Mobility Wing Commander, Colonel Scott Wiederholtz. So, boss, thanks for stopping in to participate in Josh's retirement. Warm and hearty welcome to Becca and Liam and Drew, who are here with us in person, and then join us virtually, Matt. You know, we often say that the retirement ceremony isn't about the member, it's about the family. And I will tell you from my sit down with Josh, that rings incredibly true for this ceremony. The journey you have all done together, and to be here with him today, I know means a whole lot to Josh. And so thank you for what you've done for your service to our nation for 20 years, the sacrifices that you've made. I know we've taken you wide and far, brought you back to McGuire a few times, but I know he has relayed a lot of awesome experiences that I think you all have had, from the deserts of the UAE to 20 plus countries in Europe, and I hope you enjoyed that every stop that we gave you. To Mr. Jack and Mrs. Eve Kenyon, thanks for joining us. There is no doubt that you laid a solid foundation and instilled some incredible work values for Josh and what he brought to the United States Air Force and what he's done for our country and many, many, many airmen out there and the lives that he has touched. Thank you for what you have done. I will also note that let it be known that the TACANs that you worked on in Europe allow thousands and thousands of aviators every year to return safely to their destinations. So thanks for the work that you did. Joining us virtually, Master Chief Petty Officer Steve and Mary Daler. Thank you for the support that you've given Josh and Becca along the way, the advice, and instilled that the service for our nation that you've given them. We have borrowed Josh for the last 20 years. So thank you to both Becca as well as Josh's parents for entrusting the United States Air Force with a national treasure. I hope that we are returning him better than the way we took him on. From the time that I've known Josh, I would say that is definitely true. Josh, I am truly honored and humbled that you asked me to do this, to stand here. You know, I don't know how much it resonated on you, but you know, when I came to the KC-10 in 2005, I was arguably on the outside looking in. I came to the McGuire as a Blue Eagle, and Josh was over as a member of the Deuce. And there was this co-pilot, young aircraft commander over in the Deuce, and there was something about, there was just something about him And being in the other squadron just didn't quite grasp it. And then after I'd been here for some time, I realized that is a professional aviator over there. I knew no other person in either squadrons that had greater general knowledge and greater aviation skills and a bigger passion for aviation and the profession that we're entrusted with. So I was really motivated to be a member of the KC-10 community, and like I said, on the outside looking in. And then fast forward about 8 years. So I came up to McGuire for my second time. Josh is back here for his second time. And Josh showed me the ropes on how to be an operations officer, more affectionately known as the DO. He was my counterpart. He was over in the Deuce, and I was in the 32nd. And I really appreciate you bringing me back to the 10 and getting me out of my the staff mind and some of those things, and refreshing me on what it means to conduct operations. So thank you on that. And so I'm truly honored to be doing this. Retirement ceremonies are always bittersweet, right? So we're going to close out one chapter in the Kenyon's life, and they're going to go on and go on to their next journey. So that's a little bit bitter. It's sweet. One of the cool things was the opportunity to sit down with Josh and not only reflect on his record and his career, but have some personal conversations with him leading into this. And I've said it, and I can't say it enough. The love and support that he has had, what he has tried to instill in his family, and what you all have given back, made me truly realize Josh is a blessed man. So thank you for that. So you're preparing for a retirement ceremony, you go through and you review a record, and I take in some of the personal aspects that I know of the individual, and I got thinking about this. Josh, you are 100% American still. Everything that is great about the United States and about America, Josh embodies every single one of those qualities. You're resilient. You're strong. You're always that bedrock and foundation of every unit you've ever been assigned to. You have a proven track record of success. And whenever there's been a challenge, I know there's one name that keeps coming up and being given the tough jobs, and that's Lieutenant Colonel Josh Kenyon. Lieutenant Josh Kenyon, Captain Josh Kenyon, and Major Josh Kenyon. So if you look closely at his record, you'll notice he was commissioned 12 May 2001. So Josh is starting a new era of both officers and enlisted of our Air Force members that are retiring, where the only time in service that they have known has been September 11th. They have known nothing else. 4 months after Josh commissioned, September 11th, 2001 happened, and it's changed the way our military has been, and it's changed our nation's way of life ever since. And then he went off to pilot training a short time later at Columbus Air Force Base. And then he came here to then McGuire Air Force Base, the 305th Air Mobility Wing, for his first KC-10 assignment. And he was assigned, as I mentioned, he was assigned to the Deuce. He was a red tagger. As a testament to Josh's aviation skills, his ability, and his professionalism, he was an aircraft commander in 3 years. This is from when he started initial qual until he was certified. And then he was an IP in under 4 years. That is blazing fast. That is really fast. And that is a true testament to your skills, your hard work, and your knowledge. And then we sent him back to Columbus Air Force Base, where he attended pilot training, this time to be an instructor, to teach our future aviators and make them the future Josh Kenyons for the units. And there are many, many aviators that are out there today that are successful because of Captain Josh Kenyon. while you were there, you were entrusted with some of the most demanding jobs. He was entrusted as the check flight commander and a evaluator airman. Many officers that have gone through UPT have feared you. But I will say, they have probably feared the position, and they have not feared Josh Kenyon. Because Josh Kenyon always has the betterment of the officer, of the pilot in mind with everything that he does. And then we brought you back here to now Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst and requalified you as an IP. And you quickly returned to combat operations, deploying, and then ultimately becoming the operations officer, more affectionately known as the DO for the 2nd Air Refueling Squadron. And then you did a short stint at the command post. And from what I remember at the time, Josh was a little bit of a change agent when it came to command post. The command post job wasn't really going anywhere. And so we put a solid officer, a trusted officer in charge of the command post to turn the command post around and to turn that job around, and Josh did that. Now you got to get an experience, because then we send you to Ramstein Air Base in Germany, and what an adventure that was. I know it was an adventure personally, and I know it was an adventure professionally, as Josh quickly rose to be the chief of the air refueling control team, managing one small fleet of tankers over 2 vast areas of responsibility. The EUCOM area of responsibility as well as the AFRICOM area of responsibility. He learned a lot about the strategic impact of air refueling. He learned a lot about strategic relationships and flying operations from Europe and the locations that they would go overhead Libya and the missions that they would support. Requires a lot of very close diplomatic relationships, strong diplomatic relationships, and you have to be very intentional with what you do. And Josh was the mastermind of a lot of operations in the EUCOM and the AFRICOM AOR, and stretched that small fleet of KC-135s in the Bloody 100 to get every last juice out of the squeeze out of them and give our nation the biggest bang for the buck, as well as taking on additional tankers in TDY and deployed roles to execute the operations that he was entrusted with. And then we throw him a little bit of a curveball and made him the USAFE, United States Air Forces in Europe, Air Forces Africa, Headquarters Squadron Commander. 1,600 airmen that he affected and impacted their lives. And the praise that he got from then Major General Tim Zedalis, the USAFE AF Africa Vice Commander, was incredibly noteworthy. Again, we sent Josh in to do an incredibly challenging job. Took a pilot out of operations and really got him entrenched in personnel matters and turned around a squadron that was faltering. And the foundation that Josh laid for the future and what he instilled in that headquarters is resonant and resounds today. Then we bring you back to McGuire for the 3rd time. Seems to like McGuire. This time is a small stint to get requalified as a KC-10 IP, and as the entrusted to do the Inspector General duties for the 87th Air Base Wing, no small feat, as the host installation and the relationships that they have, and all the mission partners that they support on the installation. And then we send him off to his dream job as the 908th Expeditionary Air Refueling Squadron Commander. And this is where Josh had an incredible opportunity to impact the lives of dozens of KC-10 air crew members, both here at McGuire as well as at Travis on the active duty and the reserve side. He built relationships. He gained a greater understanding of the strategic impact of air refueling, particularly in the United States Central Command area of responsibility. And he made the lives and the deployment conditions a whole lot better for our air crew members and those that deployed to the 908th. I know he also built some long-lasting relationships while he was out there. And as mentioned, y'all had an incredible opportunity to go spend some time with him while he was deployed to the UAE. And I hope that, as hard as that year was, I hope that a little bit of time you had out there provided a memorable and lasting experience for y'all. And now we entrust him, as the chaplain said, I couldn't say it any better, to lay the foundation for 24 KC-46 Pegasus aircraft as the 305th and the Air Force are sunsetting the mighty KC-10 and bringing on a whole new capability of tanker aircraft. You'll hear in a minute some exact numbers. It's somewhere in the order of $145 million of programmatics that Josh gets to touch and that he has impacted, laying down the foundation for operations, maintenance, as well as all the support that goes in to receiving a new aircraft. As you look out when you all leave, take notice of some of the construction. Look out on the ramp. A lot of the construction out there's been completed, but that's been your son's and your dad and your husband's responsibility since he's been back from his deployment. So that kind of sums up your career. I want to hit a couple of aviation highlights. 180 gate months to date. That's 15 years. 180 gate. That's pretty amazing.
It's not flying.
So I was kind of, and we'll get to that here in a minute. So I was kind of doing the math, going, okay, so he didn't get gate months while he was in pilot training. He was delayed to pilot training for a little bit, and then he had his small little staff stint to the 603rd AOC and in the USAFE Africa headquarters. So that is a lot of time flying aircraft. It's incredible. I don't know what you logged yesterday.
I don't either.
But you're somewhere. You're somewhere north of 5,127 hours, depending on what you logged yesterday.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of time. But where did he really get it? 1,337 combat hours, 221 combat support hours. Nearly 2,000 hours as an instructor. Just over 1,000 hours in the KC-10 and over 830 hours as in the T1, T6. Man, that's incredible.
A lot of people trying to kill me in the T6.
I was about to say I didn't calculate the number of sorties that you survived, but you survived a lot. You survived a lot of sorties, and I know you've got stories to tell.
It's a lot of my aircraft.
Yes, right here.
As a testament to his flying, 5 air medals and 1 aerial achievement medal. And then one thing that really struck me, when did you pin on, Lieutenant Colonel? 2016? Plus or minus?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, 2016. We are about ready to pin on your fifth Meritorious Service Medal. Yeah. The Meritorious Service Medal, it's not about aviation. It's about your leadership and your officership. It's generally reserved for majors and lieutenant colonels. So that shows you the impact that Lieutenant Colonel Josh Kenyon has had on the airmen in the United States Air Force and our mission to fly, fight, and win since his time as a field grade officer. That's almost one MSM per year since you pinned on Lieutenant Colonel. And sprinkle one in here, one or two as a major, but that's pretty incredible. And that is a true testament to what you've done as a leader, as an officer in our Air Force. So with that, let's keep this show going. Publish the orders.
Attention to orders. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by Executive Order 16 January 1969, has awarded the Meritorious Service Medal 4th Oak Leaf Cluster to Lieutenant Colonel Joshua J. Kenyon for meritorious service 10 April 2020 to 30 June 2021. Lieutenant Colonel Joshua J. Kenyon distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to United States Air Force as Chief KC-46A Project Integration Office 305th Air Mobility Wing from 10 April 2020 to 30 June 2021. During this period, the leadership, professionalism, and ceaseless efforts of Lieutenant Colonel Kenyon directly contributed to the installation's readiness for the arrival of 24 KC-46A Pegasus to Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst. Lieutenant Colonel Kenyon, through continuous improvement, a warrior spirit, and a servant's heart, led an amazing team of professional airmen who managed $146.5 million worth of military construction projects on McGuire Field. These projects will stand as a testament to the dedication and selfless service of Lieutenant Colonel Kenyon to the 305th Air Mobility Wing in the United States Air Force. Finally, his Herculean efforts were instrumental in creating the Joint Base KC-46A implementation plan, which will provide a critical roadmap to operations, maintenance, and support of the KC-46A in the coming years and the wing's execution of rapid global mobility. The singular, distinctive accomplishments of Colonel Kenyon culminate a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force.
Sure. Congratulations. Awesome. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the publishing of the retirement orders.
Publish the orders.
Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force, Washington, D.C., Special Order Number AC 018073, dated 18 August 2020, effective 30 June 2021. You are relieved from active duty, organization, and station of assignment. Retired effectively 1 July 2021 per Air Force Instruction 363203. In the grade of Lieutenant Colonel, proceed to homeless selection by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Please be seated.
Those eyes can't be getting watery yet.
At this time, Colonel Leonelli will present the retirement certificate and letters of appreciation to Lieutenant Colonel Kenyon. These read, Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see these present, greetings. This is to certify that Lieutenant Colonel Joshua J. Kenyon has served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of July 2021. Signed, General Charles Q. Brown, Chief of Staff of the Air Force. Next is the Presidential Certificate. This reads, I extend to you my personal thanks and sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. I trust that in the coming years you will maintain an active interest in the armed forces and the purpose for which you served. Though those who follow in your footsteps will draw inspiration from your commitment, dedication, and sacrifices made to ensure the protection of American freedoms. My best wishes to you for your happiness and success in the future. Signed, Donald J. Trump, Commander-in-Chief. Please be seated. At this time, we'd like to ask Rebecca to come on stage and give her words. Place the pin.
She has lots of words. They'll be for later.
My words are not appropriate.
Placing this pin on Lieutenant Colonel Kenyon's lapel symbolizes his transition from active duty to retired status. In the future, each time your husband wears his uniform or business attire, this pin will serve to remind all that he has served faithfully and earned his retirement. This pin indicates he is still a member of the Air Force, but now serves in retired status. Lieutenant Colonel Kenyon, please wear this pin proudly on any occasion in which you may represent the Air Force. Thank you, Rebecca. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now offer a tribute to Lieutenant Colonel Kenyon and to the flag of the United States of America. Please remain seated and draw your attention to the screen for the flag folding ceremony presented by the JBMDL Air Force Honor Guard.
For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing our new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor, white signifies purity and innocence, and blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally, a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried a message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July of 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today our flag flies on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe, and on the fin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serve our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we, as Americans, enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedoms that we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Long may it wave.
It was because of his family's constant support, encouraging words, and never-ending love that he has made it to this day. At this time, Captain Samantha Weaver will present a gift on behalf of Program Integration Office, followed by Captain Zachary Weaver presenting a gift on behalf of the 2nd Air Refueling Squadron.
Sir, we just wanted to give you a gift. Thank you for all the time and hours you put into the PIO office and the Air Force. This wooden sword is a Ruda's sword. It was given to Roman gladiators to signify that their service was complete. So it reads, "In recognition of your outstanding leadership of airmen and your dedicated service to the United States Air Force." And then on the back, it has silhouettes of the two planes that you flew.
Thanks so much.
No problem, sir.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, sir. This is a token of appreciation from the second. Thank you for all the hard work and sacrifices you've made over the years. I've enjoyed flying with you, and I'm sure that goes for everyone else as well. You left an indelible mark on the squadron, and your presence is going to be sorely missed.
Thanks so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you Lieutenant Colonel Kenyon, retired.
I'm going to come over here because this is where I left my notes and some props for my spiel. So it's a little bit farther away from the family, but we'll see. And I can take my mask off because I'm appropriately socially distanced. So I wrote it down because it's a pretty emotional day. So hopefully I can get through this without falling apart. So thank you. I'd like to start to say thanks, Colonel Wiederholt, for showing up. Appreciate your leadership and guidance since you've come on board to the 305th team. Colonel Leonelli, I really appreciate it. Like you said, going back to DO days and back to the first time we were here, it's been quite a journey together, and I appreciate that you were able to do this for me. Colonel Pemberton, working with you, working through PIO office and all of our 46 issues, it's been a pleasure. Same with Colonel LoBianco, Colonel Gutermith. It's been great working with DOGs. Colonel Gutermith has a special part of this one as well. He was my essentially my wing commander while I was the Doffer commander. So very excited to see him come to the 514th and see what you'll do here for the Joint Base team here. Thank you for being with me there for over the years. Thank you, Chaplain Ruiz, for the wonderful invocation. Pretty much spot on. I could never have done anything as good as that. So. Thank you very much. And thank you for Team Weaver. The two of them have been really instrumental in making this happen. In a COVID-19 restriction, we could have a max of 10 people in the room, and so this is about as effective as you can possibly do it with that team and with Master Sergeant Vickers, who is, again, the outstanding guy behind the cameras that will make this a fantastic thing to view on Friday at deuce o'clock. Yeah. I'm going to try to get through this without being emotional. We'll see where it goes. I'd like to take a moment to talk about opportunities. So the Air Force has provided me with many opportunities that you've just heard Colonel Leonelli go through. Opportunity to get to know friends around the world. And finally, we've had many opportunities to go through with the family. If you paid attention to the timeline of my career, you'll notice that doesn't necessarily follow the normal rainbow career path. I've been pretty much flying the entire time. So I think for most captains who are flyers, that's living the dream. If you're a professional officer who's trying to make a general someday, my path is probably not the path you want to take. But I've been a commander twice, and I've been able to fly pretty much my entire career. So I take pride in that, that I've been able to do what I've been able to do. I've only been to SOS in person. Everything else has been correspondence and had to do it the hard way. So one trend that I did follow, I think, throughout my entire career was as a young captain, a commander told me, bloom where you're planted. So I feel I took that to heart, and pretty much every job that I've done, that's what I've tried to do, is do the best I can, and then also spread seeds that can grow via mentoring to young captains and lieutenants that are going to be the future of our Air Force. Really came to fruition as a T6 instructor. So my first assignment in KC-10s was pretty awesome. Wanted to keep flying. Life was great. But I had no real aspirations to go further in a flying career. I don't think I'm doing that. But it was really when I got to T6s that to see the mentoring and teaching, that's really what inspired me to keep going and what really kind of set fire for me to keep going and to grow people. There's nothing quite as addicting as taking somebody who, in some instances, Afghanistan pilots who the fastest thing that they had ever driven in their entire life before coming to fly planes with me was a donkey. And then in 6 months, they're flying 10 feet away from another airplane with spinning propeller of death, a couple feet away from your wing and going upside down in formation with these guys that we brought from riding donkeys to flying airplanes at 200 knots. There's not really a much better feeling than that. The initial taste of making others better than me continued to follow me throughout my career, and that's what really, I think, set me apart as I was going through that career. Like Colonel Leonelli said, I've been given a lot of challenging, non-standard assignments for a pilot in the Air Force. A lot of my career path is going completely outside of flying realm. Luckily, I was able to scam enough where I could still fly as an attached instructor on the side. So while I was doing a full-time non-flying job, I was able to get away occasionally and go fly on, opportune times and keep up my currency so I could get that 5,000-ish hours or so. The other key was being the 908 Expeditionary Air Refueling Squadron Commander. The challenges we went over the last year, included Iranian actions. We were flying in the same airspace that Russians and Turkish people that weren't on our ATO, and just separated by altitudes and praying that AWACS and Kingpin and all of our C2 brethren that are out there that we worked with out at DAFRA, keeping us safe out there, mitigating risk and providing air power to the guys on the ground and protecting them. The big one for that one was mentoring and being able to talk with all of the KC-10 community, because everybody in our world goes through DAFRA, and I got to see pretty much everybody from both coasts in both active duty and reserves. So it was quite an honor to serve that job for a year. And we pretty much finished it off with one hurrah where I brought the family out, Space A on a KC-10 to DAFRA. We spent a week in Dubai and Abu Dhabi bouncing around through the sand dunes and seeing all the sights. Sent them home, and then COVID happened. So we went from that to one of the largest pandemics the world has seen in our time. And then working through the leadership team there at DAFRA with General Pilch and Colonel Rue and all my squadron commander friends and group commander friends to make sure we handled that well, to protect mission capability and protect our members at DAFRA. To my friends, throughout my career I've been able to work with some of the best, brightest, and motivated people that you could ever work with. I'm proud to call you all my friends. One thing that civilian friends seem to never understand that all the friends you make in the military do is we move around a lot, and we might not talk to each other for months or years, but you run into each other all over the world. And when you do, pretty much the friendship starts wherever you left it off. So you might catch up with, hey, now we have some more kids, or we've moved, or I'm a completely different job now, or in my case, I'm retired. But we start friendships up right where we left them off. There's never a hitch in a step. You never have to shift gears. It's pretty much, you start where you were. We're civilian world. If you didn't talk to somebody for 3 years, they're probably not going to talk to you again. For us, that's pretty normal, but we can start where we go. My advice to you is make as many as you can, and always remember to reach out to them when you need help. There's a lot of challenges in the world today with COVID, mental health issues that are going on. I encourage you to reach out to your friends that you've developed if you need that help, to get help. A great example of this is we literally bought a farm. So I bought the farm right before I retired. Put that on Facebook, we posted it. I had decided to retire, we bought a farm. The last piece of the puzzle was to find a job. And one of my best friends from ROTC, who I hadn't talked to in probably 7 years, saw that post on Facebook and called me. And within a week, I had interviews with Dell Technologies. So while that didn't quite work out because of the timing thing, but that's a great example of how friendships and networking can help you out later on when you might need some help. I look forward to being that friend for anyone who calls. So keep my number, keep my Facebook. I'll try to keep it on. We'll see how things go with how Facebook Privacy Act stuff goes. But if you guys anything you need, please reach out. All right, this is the hard one. Finally to the family. I would have never been able to have such a successful career without the support and sacrifices of the family that I have. Those of you who've been around me since August know that I finally bought the farm, like I said. Literally bought it. We had a slight medical scare back in April timeframe when I was coming back from DAFRA, which kind of made me reevaluate some priorities. After returning from the year-long deployment, we went to upstate New York on the 4th of July, which is my mom's favorite holiday. If you've ever seen the flag-waving American, that's my mom. She decorates the entire house, full patriotic, flags everywhere. She has a relay race for the kids where they have to go sing and whistle Yankee Doodle and after eating Dizzy Bat and all the standard Americana stuff. It's kind of her thing. So we had to go back after being gone for a year. Went up there. We grew up on a sailboat, so we went sailing up in the Adirondacks on Lake Great Sacandaga, and it was just an outstanding weekend. So while we're driving back from that vacation to come back to McGuire, kind of trying to figure out what I want to do, you know. At 20 years, you kind of have to make a decision in your career whether you're going to go for gold or, you know, it's time to hang it up and go back to family. So after that weekend, we were driving back. Becca was driving, and I just happened to pull up Zillow and looked at what was in the area for housing and whatnot if we decided to retire. And the farm that we ended up buying, I've actually been looking at that farm for 24 years. Because back when I was in college and I was coming home for summers and I was an intern with General Electric, I would drive by this farm every day and go, that's a really cool farm. It's got an amazing barn. There's lots of flowers. It'd be a pretty cool place. Never in my dreams would I have thought that I'd be buying it 24 years later. But it was up for sale. It was built in 1775, so it's it's older than the country. The Battle of Saratoga was fought just north of there, so there's lots of national history in the area. So the boys have metal detectors now to go hopefully find some musket balls or something interesting in the forest there. And we went to look at it, Beck and I, we went to look, and we fully expected it to be a complete train wreck. We grew up in, how old's the house, Mom and Dad? Like
1860 or so.
Your house though? 1860, so similar aged house, a little bit older. Her parents, you know, she grew up in a similar house in the town just north of there. So we were expecting dirt basement, fieldstone foundations with rotted out sills and lots of work to do. So it was kind of a throwaway on the next visit, but it turned into, oh crap, we really like it. The foundation had been redone, the wiring and electrical, most of the plumbing is all done. It has closets, which is unheard of in that age of a house. So all the things we were like, well, it's not going to have these things, and we're just going to go look for funsies, turned into putting in an offer and buying the farm. It's 10 minutes door to door from our door to the parents, and about 7 minutes from our door to my sister's door, who's building a house across the lake from us. Yeah, 13 acres, 10 acres of forest, 3 acres of flowers. All right, so that's the plan for later. I'm doing a SkillBridge fellowship with a solar company, and hopefully maybe get a call from one of the airlines or cargo companies to hire me as a pilot to keep doing what I love. All right, Mom and Dad, what can I say? I am who I am because your guidance and upbringing, I'm blessed from having you guys as my parents. The lessons you taught when I was younger have stayed with me to today and enabled me to be the man that I am. Steve and Mary, thank you so much for sharing your daughter with me and allowing me to marry her and take her on a crazy roller coaster of a ride. We've moved all around the world and taken her away. Granted, you know, you did quite well as a Navy chief, so you kind of knew what you were letting her get into when you let her marry me. So I appreciate that. Your mentorship and perspective during key challenges during my military career and some of that outside perspective has helped me get to where I am today. Becca, you've been my rock the entire time. You keep me focused when I'm distracted, and you lighten things up when I'm burdened. I can't wait to see what our next chapter brings. Matthew, you'll never know how happy I am to see you and your outstanding, turn into the outstanding man that you've become. I'm glad you're finding your way in this world, and I'm always here for you. You don't ever hesitate to call if you need to bounce life ideas, or need assistance, or just need somebody to talk to. Liam, You're such a creative, young, talented kid who's starting to embark the adventure called life and being a teenager. So, new middle school, new friends, lots of things to ask of both you and your brother. Be strong and look out for Drew. Enjoy the forest. Drew, your inquisitive mind and constant thoughtful actions constantly amaze me. I look forward to building forts, planes, and raising chickens on the new farm with you, knowing how much you really want something to nurture. Again, play with your brother in the forest. We're going to kick you outside of the house way more than you've been here to go play in the woods, go muck about. All right. Family stuff is good. If you'll notice, on the table here, I've got 2 ginormous bottles of champagne on the table. They were purchased while we were at Ramstein. My wife and I went to Reims, France, which is the Champagne region of France. It's where all the cellars and the great champagne houses are. So we went for our anniversary and we drank champagne in all the cellars and had a great time. At the end of the Champagne Street is Le Castillon. If you look, it was probably one of our favorite champagneries when we went there. And we found it ironic that it's a white flag with a red X on it. If you've flown airplanes in the Air Force, you know that a red X on the forms means you're done flying. So, maintenance has put a red X on the airplane, it's broken, can't go anywhere. So we thought it would be fitting that we'd buy 2 large bottles for my retirement. Because you can retire at 20, and then if we stayed any more years after that, we had to buy more bottles to equal the number of years, because it's Roman numeral 20, and it's 2 red X's, so I'm done flying. So that was 5 years ago. These have been sitting in our basement or so. We brought them back from Germany with us, and had this plan for years, expecting a non-COVID environment where we could have a massive party like we like to do, and we could crack the champagne, do the tower, the bubbly thing, not spray it because it's really good stuff. So I figured I'd bring it to the retirement anyway. We're not going to open it today. We'll hopefully open it in a non-COVID environment. We'll have another party later on where we can actually have all of our friends come out and share this with us. However, we do have a mini bottle, which we will be opening later today. And if you were around when I was in the Deuces, the DO, if you ever remember, we always had the mini bud bottles or mini bud cans for debrief beers. So you could still do a debrief beer and there would be no issues of driving home after a flight. So mini bottle for, I guess, a mini retirement. And then finally, I started my career in the 10. If anybody knows, well, I think everybody knows in the 10 community, Lieutenant Colonel Joe Roeder retired. He was my first KC-10 sim instructor, and I was his first student, along with Jello. At his retirement, because he was on terminal working in flight safety, I think at the time, he was the sim instructor. And then he had his retirement, and it was much bigger than this. It was the entire Deuce, because he was the Deuce commander. He'd just turned it over before he went terminal, kind of like what I'm kind of doing. So at his retirement, kind of surprised me. But at the end of the thing, he stood at the end of the stage, and he called me forward, and he gave me his last salute. So I figured extend the tradition. So he set the expectation for excellence, and to carry that flag to retirement. So I know, Sam, you're probably not going to get there, but I figured I would pass on the tradition to Team Weaver. So if you guys, can I give you my last salute? Carry on the tradition. Thanks for everything you do. And with that, I'm done, I think. So I think we'll finish this up and march on out of here.
Thank you, sir. It has truly been an honor to serve in the United States Air Force with you. Please stand for the playing of the Air Force song and remain standing for the departure of the official party.
Down the bar, starting a flame from